Hi y'all, welcome to this edition of the Gamble Ramble vlog. With you as always is myself, host Glenn Archie Gamble, and I welcome you to my little slice of YouTube, my little corner of the internet. If you follow me on social media, you'll know that I used to have a channel called the Gamble Ramble, and it was starting to become successful. I had close to 3,000 subscribers. I was into monetization, I was doing well, but I was a bit of a naughty boy, and I got spanked, and the channel got taken down. I'm not even going to get into that because I don't want to poke the bear and start the whole thing over again. But suffice to say that now I just have this, a couple hundred followers from my original YouTube channel that I used just to watch things online, not necessarily to post very much. And I've changed the name of it to Gamble's Ramble. And now basically I just post when the feeling strikes me, and I, post about rock and roll and music and books and albums and films and pop culture, my 40 plus year career in the music industry. And if you're new here, welcome. Maybe I can get you to consider to subscribe to the channel. And you can just click below. And I've played with bands such as Helix, the legendary Canadian hard rock band, the Buffalo Brothers, not so legendary, but equally awesome in my mind. The independent band The Joys, which has a gold single right there on my wall there. And so along the way, it's been a lot of fun. So what inspired tonight's vlog was, I noticed a lot of people have been really getting upset about the recent Triumph and Rush reunions. So in particular, I was watching some video the other night of the Rush opening night in Sault Ste. Marie, which was last night, I believe, in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, Canada. Now, if you don't know it, both Rush and Triumph have reunited in varying degrees to go back out on tour, and I applaud them for the decision. With Rush, they've replaced their legendary drummer Neil Peart with the amazing Annika Nielsen, as she's an incredible German drummer who is blowing minds left, right, and center. And I'm proud to say I've followed her long before the Rush thing ever came about for her. And they sound amazing as far as I'm concerned. They made their recent television debut on the Juno Awards here in Canada, which is basically the Canadian Grammys, and they were amazing. And now Triumph is another story. Triumph could ideally reunite with all the original members. But what has happened is singer-guitarist, the two singers in the band, the singer and guitarist Rik Emmett and singer-drummer Gil Moore have got back together without bassist Mike Levine. Now Triumph is a power trio. I don't know why Levine's sitting out. I believe it's health issues. But what's going on with Triumph is that they're out touring with 3 additional replacement members. And I'm proud to say I'm friends with all 3 of the guys in the band. There's drummer and keyboardist Brett Fitz, also a great singer. Bassist Todd Kearns. Brett and Todd play with Slash's band. And Todd is playing bass and singing some of the lead vocals and harmonies. And then the great Phil X from Kitchener, Ontario, guitarist for Bon Jovi, is playing second guitar or co-lead guitar with Rik Emmett, and also singing. Now, both Todd and Phil X have very high voices. And the Triumph stuff, if you're a fan of that music, you'll know it's very high-pitched, very high keys, a lot of high notes to hit. And Rik Emmett's, in his 70s, got to be approaching 80. He's not a young man anymore. I'm sure it's very hard for him to hit those notes. And I'm guaranteed that's why those guys were hired. So there's a 5-piece band going out as Triumph. This isn't sitting well with some people, and that's fine. You don't want to go, don't go. Vote with your wallet, right? If you don't like it, don't go to the shows. But what irks me is people that are calling both Triumph and Rush sellouts. This has always bothered me. Folks, a little disaster behind me there. I bumped into something with my elbow and knocked over some stuff. Where were we? Yeah, so there are people that are calling these reunion tours, sellouts, cash grabs, assorted other related insults. And that really irks me because, well, there's a number of reasons, and that's what I would like to talk about today. What inspired this vlog, though, was I was watching the footage of the Triumph opening night show. Like, they had done a show at the Hard Rock somewhere down in Florida as kind of a dress rehearsal warm-up show. But the real opening night of the tour was in Sault Ste. Marie a couple nights ago, or last night. Forgive me, I have a terrible memory. And I was watching video of that. And someone had put, it's sad to see has-beens on stage. You should have managed your money better, guys. I'll put the quote in here. But I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically it. I just said, I'm like, what the fuck? First of all, let's assume this person's correct and that they're doing this because they need the money. And by saying they, I'm going to encapsulate both Rush, Triumph, and any band that gets back together in the winter of their career to tour. So what if they are? Okay, let's say you're correct. That they've bad investments, the money's just run out, whatever. That they need money, so they're getting back together to do it. So what? Why is it any of your business, first of all? It's not. And to begrudge a musician to go out and play music, or there's an opportunity to go out and play music for money, who are you to do that? And why? I don't understand. Like, if you don't like it, I understand that. But you vote with your wallet, you vote with your dollar, just don't go. But to feel the need to go on social media and air your opinion and criticize these people, I don't think you have the legal right, of course you do, but I just think morally it's kind of questionable stance to take. That's what they do. How come we praise like lawyers that go back into practice after retirement as judges, let's say, or people that do other things that go back to work, or even volunteer, let's say, whatever it might be. Good for them for, they're being useful and they're going back to work and doing the thing they love. So millionaire rock stars aren't allowed to do the same thing. I mean, I understand as a fan the distaste for the money grab, as you call it, right? Because sometimes some stuff is very appropriately and very obviously being done for money. I mean, and Kiss, I'm talking to you, as huge of a fan as I am. The Kiss has just made me bury my head sometimes and just be ashamed to be a Kiss fan, like the Kiss wrestling and all this, and the revolving door of members and so on and so forth. But I get it. At the end of the day, I know that Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley have more than enough money, and they do this because they love it. And yeah, they also like to make money. So what? What is wrong with that? It's what they do, they're good at it, and it pays well. You get to fly around the world in private jets, staying in 5-star hotels, and being treated like a king, and make millions of dollars a week. Why wouldn't you? See, now that's me speaking more or less of as an industry, someone with a toe in the industry, As a fan, I do get it. When you see stuff like Paul Stanley using pre-recorded vocals, yeah, it kind of justifies the argument that these people have about, it is just a money grab. But I don't think even that it is. I think it's pride. I think Paul would rather give people a better show and reluctantly use something like tracks rather than go out there and just hit the notes he knows he can't hit anymore, right? We're lucky to still have these people above and beyond anything. Thank God they're still here. They're still able to, tour and do the thing they love. Now with Triumph, let's be specific to this insult this guy posted. Sad to see has-beens up on stage. Should have managed your money better, guys. Now, from what I understand, I know that Triumph were an incredibly successful band. I grew up in Brantford, which is 45 minutes away from the Scarborough, Mississauga area, where Triumph's headquarters were, the Metalworks studio. They invested their money wisely into Metalworks, and it's still a thriving studio / production school today. They were good. Gilmore in particular always had a good head for business. I doubt that they are anywhere near broke. And again, but even if they were, who cares? That's what they do. They're musicians. They have to play. But let's say that they're not broke. Let's say that they do still have their millions. And the argument being from other people, they should just retire and count their money. Why? Because you said so? That's really arrogant. If you think about it, it's really arrogant. I can get that you don't like it. And I can even sometimes agree with you, as I said. To be frank, I do think Kiss should have hung it up when they did. Because the physicality it takes to do that show, for guys approaching 80, it just wasn't there anymore in Paul's voice. Now seeing Kiss play Unplugged or whatever with no makeup on, they're still good players. I would support that. But Triumph, they still have something to give. And I won't lie to you, I would prefer, as a partial Triumph fan, to go to a show and see the original three with one more person on keyboards and vocals augmenting things. That's what... I gotta be careful with my words because I said my friends are in the band. So I think they probably should have done, but it's not my decision to make, it's their decision to make. And I don't believe that Triumph need the money. I think that they want the money. I don't blame them. Even me, I'm going to be 60 in 3 years, 2.5 years. I'm looking at mortality more than I ever have, my own mortality, and wondering, what am I going to be leaving behind? And if they can leave more money for the kids, the grandkids, and future generations to secure their lives, and even make their own time here more comfortable, why wouldn't they, right? They're musicians, it's what they do. There's money to be made out there. Do you understand where I'm going with this, folks? I just think it's incredibly arrogant for us to sit back with our arms folded and say, you shouldn't do that. Well, first of all, you don't get to tell anyone what they should and shouldn't do, unless you're a cop, or, like the law, right? And even then, but you know what I'm trying to say. I get that it can offend you. It offends you as a fan. And I am a fan as well as a professional, so I do understand that. But I can tell you this right now. I talked to my friends in the band, and the guys that are playing sidemen in Triumph right now. The aforementioned Brent Fitz and Todd Kearns and Phil X, And I can see by their socials, or I follow their socials and chat with them occasionally, they're having the time of their lives. They're having a blast. And it's invigorated Rick Emmett and Gil Moore, too. It's pumped some energy into them, made them, want to do this again. So, yeah, if you don't like it, don't go. But you don't have to shit on people for, Here's another facet of what I'm trying to say, too, with regards to the money. People, okay, hang on a second. Recently there was, forgive me for not remembering specifics, but I think there was a natural disaster in Hawaii. And the band Metallica contributed $100,000 from a show to the relief fund. And the list of people criticizing them was as long as my arm because they didn't feel they gave enough money. Now, Kirk Hammett lives, or at least I know has a house or an apartment on the Big Island, I think, in Hawaii. I don't know if he lives there full time, but he lives there a lot of the year. So they were saying, especially Kirk as a citizen or whatever, as someone that is part of the community, they should have given more. $100,000 is a lot of money. And what have you given? People always make these assumptions that, like Metallica are definitely one of the most financially successful bands of all time. They're up there with the Stones and the Beatles and the Eagles and the big guys, right? But they don't have to do anything because you think they should. They could have done what 99.9% of bands did, which is nothing. They give $100,000, that's 6 figures, that's a lot of money. And that's going to make an impact and a difference. And what people don't realize is Metallica has their own charity called All Within My Hands that is very generous and helps people out. They also are very known for quietly helping charities here and there. And they just don't necessarily always publicize it. So if you're painting them with broad strokes and saying, well, they only gave $100,000 to Hawaii and that's it, they should have done more. Well, you don't know. And I'm telling you, I know, hate to pull that insider guy. I'm hardly an insider, but I have friends that are successful in the industry, and I know a little bit more than the average person does about certain things. Metallica are very generous with both their time and their money. That's all I'll say. And they help with, they're good people and a good organization. I mean, I don't know. Who are you to tell anyone they've got enough money? And who are you to tell anyone what they should do with it? It's not my place either. I mean, I do have my thoughts and opinions on this sort of thing. The criticism we get of Triumph, cash grab, they should retire. And it is a little strange seeing a 5-piece Triumph on stage, especially when 3 of the guys are my friends. But I get it. They want to play. They want it to sound good. So they did what they had to do. It's such an odd topic because it's so polarizing, right? Musicians are, if I have it my way, I'll play until the day they close the coffin lid, I don't know how to make that happen, but I'm trying to figure it out in this landscape of the changing world, and I'm aging, and things are just, the ground is shifting beneath my feet, and I'm trying to keep up with it. But I will be successful in terms of I'll always play, And I'll close this off with a quick story. Here's a story relating to money and music. As I said, my opinion is that you or I do not have the right to tell anyone how to make money and what they should do with that money once they make it. They can blow it on cocaine and hookers. It's none of my business. If I paid to see a show and the show was good, then I got my money's worth. That's where my opinion ends. But when I played with the band Helix, I played with them from 1997 to 2004. And one of the very first gigs I did in the late 90s with them was we opened for the classic rock band Humble Pie, okay? Now, we went down to Windsor to play with them. We were all excited because Humble Pie was a great band. The original Humble Pie was an incredible band, fronted by Steve Marriott of the Small Faces, Jerry Shirley, the great Jerry Shirley from Fast Way on drums, and, forgive me for forgetting the rest of the band. But just a great, and Peter Frampton was in Humble Pie originally too, I believe. Just a fantastic band. So we got there, and I was really looking forward to seeing Jerry Shirley. I really liked his drumming. I'll be honest with you, I'm a kid of the 80s. I liked his playing on the Fast Way records. Good, solid, Bonham-like playing. Workman, meat and potatoes drumming, which I like. And I asked the tour manager, I said, wait, when's Jerry arriving? I'd like to be introduced to him. And he goes, oh, Jerry's not playing this show. He has a broken leg. He's at home in Ohio. So he's got to fill in. So Steve Marriott was dead. Peter Frampton wasn't in this band. So here's what happened. Okay, I have to finish the story properly. So 6 months later, a friend of mine I ran into at a gig at the late Al Craig. We love you, Al. I ran into him at a club, and he goes, Archie, you'll never guess who I did monitors for the other night. And he said, Humble Pie. I said, oh yeah, with Jerry Shirley on drums? He said, no. He broke his leg in a skiing accident. Now, it was water skiing when I asked, and that was in the summertime, and this gig, when I ran into Al, was in the winter. So I investigated. I asked an agent friend of mine, and here's what happened. Jerry Shirley owns the name and the business Humble Pie. So what he does is he sends out 4 guys that nobody knows, pays them a sideman fee per show, and he keeps the lion's share of the money as the business owner. And a fake Humble Pie goes out there and tours. Now, the reason they pull it off is because Humble Pie were successful pre-video age. So most people don't know what they look like. They only hear this band that sounds, these guys got the songs down. That must be Humble Pie. Like, it's an amazing thing that they get away with. Now, occasionally, to be fair, Jerry Shirley would play shows with them when he felt like it. But basically, he sat at home and collected the lion's share of the money and paid these guys their salaries and said thanks. Well, first of all, as a musician, I admired the scam. In terms of, if I imagine sitting at home, owning the name Buffalo Brothers, if Buffalo Brothers had been successful, and sending 4 people out playing while I'm making, $5,000 a night or whatever, well, I know, I'm not saying I necessarily would do it, but you see my point. So that is a little questionable. I won't lie. That kind of made me go, holy jeez, like that's a bit much, you know. I laugh about it, but it is a little questionable for sure. But I have to say, the guys that were in the band, that the replacement players, were really great musicians, and they sounded fantastic. Well, Charlie Hunn from Ted Nugent's band, who was on vocals and guitar doing the Steve Marriott role, and he did a fantastic job. But it wasn't Humble Pie. It wasn't even close to Humble Pie. So, you know, there's that. Now, that could be argued, in my opinion, and again, this is all about opinion, as greedy, or maybe taking a little too much liberty, you know. But Jerry Shirley is able to do it, and there's a lot of bands, you know. Helix did the classic rock circuit. We played with a lot of bands where there wasn't even one member on stage anymore from the original act. At least with Helix, it was always Brian Vollmer and backup musicians. Some guys would come back in and some guys would come back out, right? But we played with some of these huge bands where there wasn't even one guy left in the band. But no, they were successful bands from the 70s and 60s, pre-video age, so no one cared and no one knew. If it works, fine. It brought people joy. The crowds were still rocking and having a good time. Promoters made money. The bands made money. Was it dishonest? Yeah, it was. But I mean, welcome to the world, you know what I mean? That I find a little more offensive than what's presently going down, in closing, with Rush and Triumph. Rush, I think are two separate things, first of all. There was a Rush before Neil Peart, respectfully. There was the Rush before Geddy Lee. And good luck to them. And Annika Nils, oh my God, what a drummer. She's going to just destroy this. She's going to be so good. Technically, she's a better drummer than Neil Peart. And I say that, I know people are going to come at me, but it's true. She's got better chops, more advanced time signature work. She's schooled better technique. I'm talking about schooled stuff. People may not realize this, but she's the head of a percussion school and university music program, percussion program rather, at a German university. She's the shit. She's the real deal. So that's one thing. And I wish I could afford to go, but I can't. I will admit, my friend Heather brings this point up. She's not against the reunion, but she's against the ticket prices. That, I think, I don't blame Rush for. I blame the political climate, the financial climate, the music industry. It's how it is. All concert tickets are expensive these days. And until somebody figures a way out, touring is expensive also. Gas, buses, crew, things. And Rush puts on a quality show, right? So I know it'll be more than worth it. But that said, good luck to them. As for Triumph, will I go see it? No, I won't spend any money to go see it, because I never was that huge of a fan. I don't know if the guys will invite me. I doubt it. I messaged Todd to wish him good luck, and I haven't heard back from him. So, opening night yesterday or the day before, whatever it was, I messaged him to wish him good luck on the show, and I haven't heard back. Of course, he's busy, I understand. If one of them invites me up, I'd make my way out to a show for sure. And when they both play with Slash, and when Slash comes down, they usually invite me to come to the gigs, which is cool. Backstage passes and tickets, and it's great, So I would go, but I would go out of my way to go. But I'm not going to belittle the guys in Triumph, Rick Emmett and Gilmore, for wanting to do what it is they do and make some money at it. I wish them the best of luck. And if you don't like it, I understand how you feel too as a fan. But I don't think you have the right to tell them not to do it. So I'm going to get off my soapbox and I'm going to go play some Scrabble. What an exciting life I live. Thanks for tuning in, folks. And if you can, please hit subscribe. And check out my Patreon page. You can support me there, $5 a month. Think of it as buying me a beer. And take care till next time. Thanks.